Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to create a serverless API with Azure functions. Let's get started. So what are Azure functions? They are a serverless service which allows you to run code without worrying about server management. Azure functions could be triggered by many events such as HTTP request, cron schedule, event from blob storage such as adding, removing files, event from event hub, and queues. Features and benefits of Azure functions. Azure functions supports many languages such as Python, Java, C#, and PowerShell. Since this is a serverless service, it means that you are only going to pay for the compute time when you are using the service. And finally, Azure functions will take care of scaling up the service automatically based on the traffic that you receive. Alright, let's get started with the demo. I will be using C# for this tutorial. So let's open up Visual Studio and create a new Azure function project. Azure functions. Call it demo. Put it here. And like you see here, there's multiple event triggers. In our case, we'll be using HTTP trigger for the serverless API. In the functions file, you will be able to describe your API endpoint. For example, we have an endpoint called function1. This endpoint will take either a GET or a POST request, and it's going to return this message here: welcome to Azure Functions. This will be an OK response, so you will get status code 200. Alright, let's run this. Like you see here, it's running it locally, API /functions1. Let's call it. So in here, if we do a GET request, we should be able to get welcome to Azure Functions at the bottom here, and we should be able to get a status code of 200. So let's see. Alright, I got the expected results. We should get the same thing from a POST request as well. Alright, got the same thing. Now let's move on to the next thing. So this file here, this file is where you declare your environment variables locally, and you'll be able to call it from retrieve it inside the code. And the reason is you declare here is you have a secret key that you don't want to create inside the code, and you want to hide inside the gitignore. So this file will not be pushed to a Git repository if you if you add the local settings.json inside this .gitignore file. So let's create an environment variable and let's call it. Alright, we create an environment variable called Azure Web Job Secret Storage Type. We'll receive the files. So let's call it inside the function. String Oh, oops, got storage. And let's just return this as the output. And let's run this again. Alright, let's go. You see here, we got the expected result files. So now let's move on to the next step, which is deploying this function to Azure. Thank you. So here I am in the Azure portal. Let's go create a new Azure function. Right, let's create a function app. Put it under a resource group. For this, let's create a demo talk. We will be using .NET 8, that's good. Use Windows and serverless. Got a review and create. Everything looks good. Let's create. I will be back once the deployment is done. So the service is up now. Let's deploy our code to Azure Functions. We'll publish selection and publish profile. We will be deploying, we'll be publishing to Azure. Click that. We'll be using Windows. And under this subscription, we'll be using demo top, the service we just created. Alright, now we will publish. So the issue seems to be with Visual Studio. For a workaround, we're going to use Visual Studio Code instead. So let's try again with Studio Code. Alright, let's deploy this function. Pay as you go. And here's our deployed service. In a few moments, we should be able to see the service deployed. Alright, we finished deployment. Let's take a look. Refresh. Like you see here, function down here, function 1. So let's call it. We got env. So the reason we got blank is because we haven't declared the environment during the deployment phase. We only declared the environment locally, so let's go and declare it on the server side. We go under configuration. And let's create a new application stream. So now it's going to update the app, and once that's done, we should be able to see files, env add files. Alright, let's call it again. We should be able to see env and files here. Oh, let's get the let's get the URL again. Get function URL. Now should be good to go. Like you see, this code changes every time you redeploy. And like you see, everything's working as expected. So this is it for this tutorial. Thank you everyone.